Okay everybody, how's it going? Make sure I got my mic here. All right, this is Big Lair. It's September 30th. September 30th, it's Monday here in Japan. The time is about 1 p.m. in the afternoon. That means it's pretty late at night for most of you in the States there. It's still the 29th for all of you. So yeah, I'm coming to you from Japan, near Nagoya, Japan. It's still very hot here, still very hot. The heat's still holding on to us. I'm looking forward to some cooler fall weather. Okay, today, let's see, this is my weekend crypto update. This is a little late. I wanted to get this to you yesterday. Saturday, I spent half of the day with my youngest son at his school. They had this like a family day. Things are pretty sad in Japan. Schools create these family days to give parents and kids a time to, well, an opportunity to spend quality time together. Sadly enough, most families don't spend time together, and I guess I'm the exception because I spend a lot of time with my kids and wife. So for me, I actually don't look forward to these days because I'd rather do something more interesting with my kids. But anyway, so we showed up, and I'm going to put I'll put a little video clip after my introduction here to let you see what we did. We went to his school, and they had some people from the Aichi Prefecture Eel Association. And yeah, there's actually an eel association. Eel is a delicacy. It's a real delicacy here in Japan. It's quite expensive if you go to a restaurant and eat eel. And this association raises awareness about eels. It tells you all about the, what would you say? From a marine biology standpoint, anything you'd want to know about eels, where they come from in the ocean and how they get to rivers, and how this association gets their hands on them, and then how they're raised, distributed to restaurants and all that. So anyway, you'll see a little bit of that. Well, not the education part, but you'll just see my kid trying to catch some eel, and then what happens to the eels after they're caught until we eat them. So that'll be in a short clip there. Okay, I got some notes here. What am I going to talk about today? Okay, so after you watch the little clip on eels, then I'm going to come back. Hey, you just see that notification I had? I wonder if that's going to show up on my video or not. That's kind of interesting. Okay, today's main topics, I'm going to talk about Libra coin. Libra coin, interestingly, is in the news. There's some conflicting views coming out about Libra coin. Then I'm going to talk about NEO, a little bit about NEO. Cardano. Got a couple things to say about Cardano. Yes, I've got something here about Bitcoin also a little bit. And then I'm going to give my just a little update on crypto prices, my thoughts on where I think things are going. Just want to say before I get into the main part of this video that I appreciate everyone who's been subscribing. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people. I really appreciate that. It lets me know you're interested in what I'm doing. Yeah. And another thing I should mention, so thank you very much for your subscriptions and your support. I appreciate it. I will continue to try and make the best videos I can for everyone. And along with that, I have to apologize because I had promised to make another video about this parallel reality topic. There's this one parallel reality that I talked about. It has these very intense individuals in it, very intense reality. I've been doing a lot of thinking about it. I've been putting something together. I have a certain way I want to present it, so it's taking me a little longer than I had planned. Please be patient. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, meditating on it, and maybe the best way to describe it would be like a 5D reality. We're in a 4D reality, right? We've got the 3 dimensions of space, plus we have time. So we have a 4-dimensional reality. I think maybe a 5D reality is the best way to describe this reality that I'm going to be talking about, because everything is really intense, Yeah, it's like colors. It's like everything kind of vibrates in a way in this reality. It's like everything is alive. Even like you see the color blue, and the color blue actually has a feeling to it. You actually feel like energy. Like if I was wearing this shirt with various blues, I've got some shades, I've got some tones, I've got some tints of blue here. Each one would have its own vibration, and you would feel the energy from each of those various blues. And the same goes for every object. Even things like flowers. Flowers are really amazing in this reality because they have color which vibrates a certain energy, and then it has a fragrance. And the fragrance also, besides being able to smell it, there's an energy attached to it. So it's it goes beyond what we call the 5 senses. It goes much beyond that. Yeah, I've been meditating on that, trying to get a better handle on how to describe things. And I've had people also ask me about meditation. Now, I don't meditate the same way most people do, I'm guessing. For about a year, this is many years ago, when I first started, for about a year, I tried to meditate, sitting up like I am now with my, my legs crossed like this. And I just couldn't get anywhere. My lower back would start to get sore, my knees would get sore, my hips would get sore. Then one of my legs would fall asleep. You've got like those bones on the side of your ankles. One of those would start to hurt. Just didn't get anywhere. And then one day I laid down on my bed, like not how you normally would lay at night, but I laid perpendicular. On the end of my bed, I laid perpendicular to how I normally lay. And I was like, oh, this feels pretty comfortable. And then, boom, within a minute, I was meditating. And since that day, I can meditate. I can get into a meditative state very, very, very quickly. And there's a certain feeling associated with it. Normally, in the afternoon, 2:30 to 3 o'clock is the easiest time for me to meditate. And I actually feel something. I actually feel like the universe is kind of tugging on my shirt saying, hey, it's time to meditate, you better go lay down. So did you hear that loud noise? That's my son coming into the garage. Anyway, so yeah, I can meditate very quickly. And for me, I lay down with my my legs straight, my arms at my sides, close my eyes, relax, and usually within a minute, I'm just, how can I say it? I'm relaxed, and very quickly I cannot feel any part of my body. It's just like I've melted into the mattress, or I'm just one with the universe, and then whoom, I feel like I slip into this universal river. There's like a river coming by at my feet, and then I just whoom, slip into this river, and I'm carried down to wherever it takes me. And for many, many years, I would meditate without really any goal. The meditation itself was the goal, and I had people through the years tell me, well, you should give yourself, some goal, give yourself a target that you want to talk about, or something, that you want to know. And well, okay, it wasn't just, of interest to me. So then I started doing that once in a while, and sometimes it would work really well, and sometimes it wouldn't. And then probably 6 to 9 months ago, I started having these really intense dreams, and decided, oh boy, I've got to figure this out. And I've talked about all of this in a previous video. And it was then that I said to myself, okay, when I meditate now, I'm going to have a goal of having things slow down and being able to see things in a slower manner, so that I can digest the material better. And that's been very, very successful. I recently had a very interesting meditation experience. Oh, first, I should also mention that After a number of years of meditating that way, laying down, about 4 years ago actually, one day I laid down on my bed and I put my arms up over my head, just to kind of stretch before I started my meditation. And that felt really good, to just leave my arms up above my head, straight, not like I just did with my arms bent like that, but it just felt really, really comfortable. And then boom, I was in a meditative state, and then 30 minutes later, bam, my eyes opened and I was still, had my arms above my head. My arms had not fallen asleep, interestingly enough. Normally they would if I laid like that too long. So I can also meditate with my arms over my head now. It just depends on what I want to do or how I end up when I lay down. And okay, then the next thing, which I had started to talk about a second ago, is that people will say, well, how do you know you're meditating? What if you're really falling asleep? Well, I know for sure when I'm meditating and when I'm not. When I meditate, it'll last around 30 minutes, no longer than 30 minutes for whatever reason. And I've been doing it for years and years, and I've timed it before, and it's never over 30 minutes, maybe 31, but that would be the limit. And that must just be something universal. And let's see, and when I'm meditating, I can hear what's going on around me. I can actually hear people if they're walking in the room. I can hear people in another room talking. If I have the window open, I can hear things outside, but it's very faint. It's very faint. How I like to describe it is that it's almost like I'm under the surface of water and someone is above the surface, talking or making noise, and it's very muffled, and the volume, becomes much lower. And if someone comes in to talk to me once in a while, someone in my family will come in and talk to me or ask me a question when I'm in that state. And I've told everyone, don't ever touch me when I'm meditating, because that's not a good thing to be, when you're in that deep relaxed state, to have someone touched you. That can have a bit of negative consequences. Anyway, so they'll talk to me, and what I'm able to do is I bring myself up closer to that surface, and then their voice becomes louder and clearer, and then I'm able to communicate with them, able to talk. Now, I talk quite slowly when I'm in a meditative state, but you have to realize it takes a tremendous amount of concentration to keep yourself in a meditative state and communicate with someone who is outside of that meditative state, if that makes any sense. So I'm able to communicate, and then once the conversation's over, I just let myself sink back down to where I was and finish the meditation. Okay, so maybe that helps a little bit. And I should also mention, when you're meditating and you're in this deep relaxation, if someone touches you, I've had this happen twice in my life. And the second time I had a bad injury I used to work for a steel company years ago. I was a structural steel fabricator before I became a teacher. And that was a pretty awesome job. It was fun working with steel. And I got hit by a big piece of steel let's see, was that the time I had my nose broken? No, it was the time I had my hand smashed between two big I-beams, and it popped the fingernail off of my middle finger on my left hand. You can imagine that was not a pleasant situation. So I'm at the hospital, and I'm in one of these like a receiving room. I don't think you'd call it an operating room, but I was laying on a table, and they said, wait here, someone's going to come in and stitch your finger up, because my finger was split open. And so I put myself into a meditative state to get away from the pain, and I wasn't able to hear I heard the nurse in the room. I didn't hear the doctor come in, and he came in and picked up my arm, and that just jolted me right off the bed there. And within 2 hours, I had a really bad cold. So and this is the second time it had happened to me. Not that I had been at the hospital twice and had a doctor do that, but the other time I was meditating, someone, grabbed me. They thought I was awake, and they thought they would shake me awake. and I woke up, and then within 2 hours I had a really bad cold, like you had just come down with this nasty, nasty cold. I just felt like off for days, and I knew it wasn't a real cold that I had caught from someone. I knew it was from being in this meditative state. And the second time it happened, it was the same thing. It was just horrible. It felt worse than a cold, but I don't know how else to describe it. Okay, so if you're in a meditative state, make sure no one touches you. That's the takeaway here. Okay, so before I get into any crypto stuff, I'm gonna show a little clip of my son and I, well, mostly my son, at his school catching eel, and then you'll get to see a little bit about what happens to the eel as it goes on. Okay, so enjoy that, and I'll be back in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, I think. Okay, everybody, I don't have my microphone, but it's Saturday. I'm walking to my youngest son's school, and supposedly we're going to prepare eel together. Let's see if I can switch cameras. Maybe I can't. Can you see that there? Yeah, okay. Cool. Could you see my kid there? Anyway, here we go.
これ簡単に見えるけど5年かかりますね。
これ独特っていうのさ、振動だよね。
そうそうそう。どこ？
うわ、いってる。落ちた。うわ、いって。うなぎってあんまし食べないだけある。
じゃあ餌はやってないからみんなが食べれるように。
こっちしばらくする。体切り離さ頭と体切り離される。
船をねまだ。あ、これ種を作ったの。で調べてお腹開いたら女の子でした。これ本当だからこれがじゃないか。
Okay, hope you like that little clip there. Just something different, huh? Okay, let's get into cryptos here. I want to talk about Libra first. There's some conflicting information about Libra, and I find that very fascinating. First, let's do the bad news first, huh? Good news, bad news. Now, this article here, I've got this from, I believe it's called payments.com. It's Pymnts.com. Payments.com. I don't have an author name here, and the title says Japan Central Bank Chief pushes for global efforts to regulate Libra. Japan. What are they doing? Everyone thinks Japan is so advanced when it comes to cryptocurrencies. I beg to differ, having been here for many years. Okay, here's the gist of the article. I'll just read a little bit of it. Bank of Japan head Haruhiko Kuroda, so Mr. Kuroda, he spoke to business leaders in Osaka about the importance of having a coordinated global plan to regulate Libra and other cryptocurrencies. And this is a quote from his speech. If Libra is introduced, it could have a huge impact on society. Now, if we translate that into real English, if Libra is introduced, it could make it really hard for us to control people through our current banking system. That's what the guy is really saying. It could have a huge impact on society. He didn't say it could have a huge positive impact. He also didn't say a huge negative impact, but we know that's what he's saying, right? It could. If it was a positive thing, he would say if Libra is introduced, it would be great for society. We'll have a tremendous positive impact on society. He didn't say that. So what he really means is we could lose control of this whole thing pretty fast, so we'd better get this going. And furthermore, this Mr. Kuroda, he urged policymakers to ensure that the highest level of regulation is applied to such assets. The highest level of regulation. Now, you have to realize when Japanese speak, especially at the government level, or like this guy, he's the head of the Bank of Japan, they speak, how can I say it? They don't speak direct at all. I always like to say they kind of speak around the issue. Almost like British, British people, when they speak, they tend to they're a little vague. They prefer vagueness, but everyone knows what they really mean, right? Japanese is the same way. This guy is speaking very vague, but so when I hear a Japanese person saying, we have to ensure that the highest level of regulation is applied to these assets, holy crap, that means we want an ironclad fist controlling all of these things, because if we don't, the average person we will not be able to control the average person, and we need to maintain control. Now that's very interesting. That's the take of the Bank of Japan. Now he's like the head policymaker. Well, I'm going to say we'll say he's the head policymaker for the Bank of Japan, but don't fool yourself. There's a group of guys that get together and they talk about what to do, and then he simply is the figurehead that comes out and says it. Now, I've mentioned before in a previous video, there are groups, I've seen this I've had dreams where I've been shown by my guides the groups that are controlling cryptocurrencies in the world. There are a number of groups who are controlling things. And I would not be surprised. I mean, I haven't seen any Japanese groups controlling things, but I have seen other things about Japan, which is maybe not appropriate for this video, but in Japan, there are groups of people who are controlling a lot of things. And so I find it fascinating that the Bank of Japan, the head guy at the Bank of Japan, would say we have to apply, let me go back to what he said so I can get this right, to ensure the highest level of regulation is applied to such assets. Well, such assets means cryptocurrencies. So, boy, they just want to get, they want to get this tight fist around everything. That doesn't sound too well for the people of Japan, does it, in cryptocurrencies? Okay, now my next article, this is from the Swiss Info website, swissinfo.ch, and here's let's see, Matthew Allen is the author. This is from the 26th. Oh, the previous article was also from the 25th, I believe. Not also, it was from the 25th of September. Okay, Matthew Allen, he writes this, his article is Former UBS Head Excited by Powerful Potential of Crypto Banking. Okay, who's this guy? Well, he's talking about Peter Wolfley, who was the former CEO of Switzerland's largest bank, and that would be the USB, right? Sorry, the UBS. And let's see. So now he's working for a crypto bank, a Swiss crypto bank called Signum. He just became the director of Signum. So wow, this guy jumped from being the CEO of Switzerland's largest bank to a Swiss crypto bank. Isn't that interesting? That's, that's telling us a lot, right? And what does he have to say? Well, he was interviewed here. I'll just read a few things he says. So this guy says, after the hype period, I'm going to paraphrase this a bit, okay? After the hype period of cryptocurrencies, the market is now picking up, or the industry, is picking up some serious players, and there are substantial opportunities in this technology and the cryptocurrency world. And he said, I was hooked on cryptocurrencies because I saw how this idea was mobilizing resources of finances and talent. Okay, so this guy, he's actually looking ahead to the future, right? He's reading the handwriting on the wall. And he said, it reminded me a bit of the experience I had 20 years ago when some of our best equity traders set up a hedge fund. Okay, it felt like a similar opportunity where innovation meets talent. Now, Signum, what they did is they applied for a banking license. And this Mr. Wolfley, the reason they did that is he thought that would be the best route to go if they were fully regulated. They wanted to show people that, they're a serious institution here. And let's see. What is he saying? They're asking him, what opportunities do you see for crypto banks? So Matthew Allen's asking this. Mr. Wolfley says, the most immediate opportunity is the existing 220 billion market of institutions and private individuals who already own cryptocurrencies. I would say that number is higher than 220 billion, but Mr. Wolfley obviously, he just looked at CoinMarketCap or somewhere and he's got that number in his head because he probably checks it every day, but he knows there's a lot more money in cryptos than just that. But he's got to play the game. Okay, and he says the next frontier is tokenized assets, such as company shares, real estate, art, or commodities. That's where we will see how far and how fast this space can go. So this guy here, he's not saying let's regulate the hell out of cryptocurrencies. He's saying, hey, there's a huge opportunity here. We should embrace cryptocurrencies. Well, that's pretty weird. That's a little different than the Bank of Japan's head. He's saying it'll have a huge impact on society, and by the way he said it, we know he's thinking it's a negative impact, which means they can't control things. This other guy, he's not looking at control, he's looking at how can we improve things in the future for everybody. Okay, now I move to another article. This is September 26th. Author is Lujan Odera. Not quite sure how to say this. The BitcoinExchangeGuide.com website. Here's the title: Facebook's Libra fix banking issues like access and cross-border payments. Wait a second. This last guy was positive about cryptos. Mr. Kuroda, the head of Bank of Japan, he's very negative on it. They need to be regulated as much as possible. But now you have a former, or no, not a former, European Central Bank executive. Let's see, boy, he's got a French name, and I'm not good with French. Oh, Jesus. What's his name? Let's see, he gave a speech recently in the German parliament called Digital Currencies Focusing on Libra. It's Bonoit, however you say that, Benoit maybe, and his last name is Coeure. You guys figure out the pronunciation. I don't want to butcher anyone's name. Okay, he's on the executive board of the European Central Bank. He said there are two major issues facing the global payment system. Access to digital payment systems and the cross-border retail payment systems. Okay, so he thinks that digital assets like Libra will provide a solution to these challenges. Well, wait a second. How can the European Central Bank somehow know more or understand this space more than the Japanese or the Bank of Japan, the Japan Central Bank head? That's quite interesting, isn't it? But if you know anything about Japan and what's going on in their banking, they do their own thing. They don't listen to anybody. They've had, they've been, since the bubble burst in 89, 90, you know, the economy is just going down, 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 down. They've never recovered from it all this time, and they haven't changed their policies. So, yeah, you got to think about that when you look at what these countries are doing. Okay, so this guy here, I really apologize, I can't say his name. He's talking about how, let's see, he talks about a World Bank report that came out in 2018. And it talked about a third of the adult population in the world remains unbanked with no access to banking services, to basic banking services. So of course people would, you know, bankers, man, they would love to get people in the banking system, right? And this guy says what that does is it locks you out of, you know, it locks people out of receiving funds or sending funds, okay? But he says most of these people have a cell phone. They don't have access to banking, but they have a cell phone. Well, this is perfect for cryptocurrencies, isn't it? So he's saying cross-border payment systems are a huge hindrance to having a global payment system, and they're slow and expensive. Slow and expensive, and for those reasons, a lot of people in certain parts of the world do not participate in the banking system. This is ripe, right? Cryptocurrencies are ripe for this. So what he's saying is, this individual, again, I apologize, I don't know how to say his name. He said both of these problems are solvable by the adoption of the Libra stablecoin. And he says even though Libra still faces a few regulatory challenges to stop it from illicit and illegal cross-border use, it's still the solution, he thinks. Isn't that interesting? He talks about a few regulatory challenges, and the head of the Bank of Japan said it needs to be regulated as much as possible because it will have a huge impact on society. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So we got three different people's views on it. Two are in favor of cryptocurrencies, especially Libra, and one is very against it. Well, against cryptocurrencies as a whole. Okay, let me move on to NEO. This is just a short thing. I like NEO a lot. I don't know if it showed up on my screen just a little bit ago, but I have an app that tells me the price of NEO every hour on the hour. Maybe you saw that because I'm watching NEO, kind of gathering some data on it. I like NEO a lot. Okay, this article is, again, bitcoinexchangeguide.com. Ali Raza is the author of this article from September 26th. The title, Microsoft's .NET Foundation adds first blockchain member NEO after its open source toolkit release. Well, isn't this great? So they've added NEO. NEO is the first blockchain member of Microsoft's .NET Foundation. And which is, you know, this is an open source foundation that's being backed by Microsoft. So that's pretty amazing. They picked up NEO. And the reason I put this article in here is because I've been watching the price of NEO for a couple, well, not for more than a couple of weeks, but every day, numerous times a day. I've been watching it for about a week now. And a lot of cryptocurrencies took a big hit, as you know, in the last several days. But NEO is held up pretty good. It's been knocked down, it goes back up. It gets knocked down, it goes back up. And I'm wondering if it's news like this, that, you know, Microsoft's .NET Foundation has added it, which lends a lot of credibility to NEO's whole ecosystem. You know, maybe that's a reason people are seeing this. And maybe there are people out there that we don't know secretly stocking up on NEO. Could be, right? Some over-the-counter things are happening, or under-the-table things, as I like to say. Maybe some under-the-table exchanges are taking place, and a bunch of NEO are changing hands. Okay, so that's NEO there. Next we have Cardano. Cardano is a very interesting cryptocurrency. It's very, 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 very inexpensive right now. Super price on Cardano, right? I mean, for a long time it was around what, 7 cents, and now it's somewhere around the 3 cent range. Okay, here's an update because I know a lot of you hold Cardano. Cardano users able to earn ADA from November, says Hoskinson. Okay, this is from cryptobriefing.com. I got this September 26th. And the author is Patty Baker. Okay, Patty Baker, thank you for this article. And let's see. So the Shelley upgrade is going to go live on the mainnet early next year. Okay, so what do we have to know about this? Let's see. Cardano users will be able to earn ADA from November onwards as the network starts to add all the additional functionalities of the staking protocol ahead of the move to the mainnet that will happen sometime next year. And let's see, there was a Cardano summit in Bulgaria. The IOHK CEO, Charles Hoskinson, he said they're on track to launch the incentivized testnet by November, and quote, he says, it's a nice little sandbox, just like Cardano. The only difference is you can register as a stake pool, you can delegate, and you'll have all the interfaces to start actually staking. That's pretty awesome. Let's see. They launched the testnet on Wednesday, which I believe would be last Wednesday, and the next step is to begin testing it with actual users. And he's saying we're basically having a dry run across many different environments. Oh, that quote is attributed to David Esser, which is Cardano's senior product manager. Okay, he said this is the beginning of Shelley where there are real rewards. Okay, now there's a few things you should probably know. It says any ADA holder is eligible to participate. The testnet is an actual blockchain, and the ADA staked on the incentivized testnet will be the actual cryptocurrency, ADA. And the plan, here's the plan, is to take a snapshot of the Cardano network in the coming months, they're not saying when, which users holding ADA in either a Daedalus or Yoroi wallet having their balances ported over to the testnet. And then it says, this Mr. Esser says, once the snapshot has been taken, you'll be able to delegate tokens in the testnet. Okay, this is something you should listen to. So those holding ADA on exchanges or in a ledger wallet will not have their balances transferred into the testnet, nor will users who buy ADA after the date of the snapshot. So you've got to have your ADA in a Daedalus or the Yoroi wallet. Yoroi is the Y-O-R-O-I wallet. I just call it Yoroi because it sounds like a Japanese word to me. So it has to be in Daedalus or the Yoroi wallet. They'll take a snapshot. They're not telling us when. And then from there, the amount you have in one of those wallets will determine your staking, right? And as I just said, I will say it again, if you're holding ADA on an exchange or in a ledger wallet, you will not have your balances transferred onto the testnet, nor will users who buy ADA after the date of the snapshot. So hopefully they'll provide an idea of when this snapshot is going to be taken for us, okay? And let's see. They also did not say what the annualized return would be for staking now. Let's see. There's a lot of staking, going on. It's usually between 3 and 12%. So, we'll see where it's going to come. This Mr. Esser, this senior product manager, he says the staking will be really competitive. Quote, really competitive, unquote. So we'll see how that plays out. That's pretty awesome for those of us holding Cardano, huh? Okay, I have another little article here I want to go over about Cardano. This is the kind of thing that I thought would have happened sooner, but this is one of the interesting parts of cryptocurrency. is that organizations will start using it. New Balance, you're familiar with New Balance, right? The company that makes athletic shoes. When I was a kid, I remember when jogging, jogging became a big thing in the late 70s, the early 80s. Well, really the early 80s, people started buying jogging shoes and people were running, and you had that guy Jim Fixx, who wrote that book about the joy of running or whatever, even though that dude died of a heart attack. Anyway, you know how good running is supposed to be for your heart. Running was a big thing, and I remember New Balance pretty much, at least in Wisconsin where I was, if you got jogging shoes in the beginning when the jogging boom took off, you got New Balance because they were the only ones who made jogging shoes. Nike wasn't even something people talked about. You could get, Chuck Taylor's? Chuck Taylor's, what's that company that sells them? I can't remember offhand, but they were like those Chuck Taylor basketball shoes, and then you had New Balance for jogging shoes, and then you just had the other normal brands that we had in America for years. So New Balance. Okay, so New Balance is going to use Cardano in their global supply chain. Yay! This is great news for Cardano. So Charles Hoskin's company there, IOHK, they just announced a strategic partnership with New Balance. And New Balance is going to use Cardano, the Cardano blockchain, to authenticate all of its products, right? So this is awesome news. And they're going to start out as a pilot, and then they're going to roll this out worldwide. Okay, this is great. Let's see, what about New Balance? Well, they're based in Boston, Massachusetts. They've got about 8,000 staff worldwide. Their revenue, in 2013, their revenue was 4.1 billion. Oh, sorry, 4.1 billion was last year, 2018. Did I say 2018? Okay, so pretty good revenue. And one of the problems New Balance is having is that you have what they're calling parasite brands popping up and copying their name and image. When I lived in Malaysia, holy crap, there were so many Chinese companies that were making New Balance knockoffs, just horrible. So this is a fantastic thing, right? And it says here a Chinese court, I didn't know this, a Chinese court awarded New Balance 1.5 billion in copyright damages in 2017, finding that a local company in China was selling shoes under the name New Boom, and they had copied New Balance's logo and had sold a ton of shoes. So this is awesome. Companies are going to start using these cryptos and their blockchains. I'm surprised it hasn't happened at a faster pace, but here we are in this crypto space. We're the early adopters, right? We're out there before everybody else. So these are the kind of things that we get to see and be happy about, because we've known this kind of thing that's where it's going to go, and now it's starting to go that way. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I've got an article here about Bitcoin. Let's see. Okay, so for me, I read a lot of news articles. Now this one here is also from BitcoinExchangeGuide.com. I don't know why I have so many articles from them this week. This is from yesterday, and the author is Ann T. I don't know if that's a Chinese person or something. Ann T, A-N-T-Y, Ann T. Okay, so I read a lot of articles, and certain things, when I read them, my guides, boom, they give me all this information about it, which is fascinating at times. I read this article, boom, same thing. Actually, before I clicked on the link, my guides were just like, click on that one, click on that one, click on that one. So I did, and here's the title. It's Bitcoin secures a place in the macro landscape, becoming the 29th largest currency across the planet. Okay, that jumped out at me like crazy. My guides went wild, and they said, this is one of the articles that are being used to roll out Bitcoin. Okay, this is not for people like us because we already know what's going on. It's not for the elites, they know what's going on. This is for the average Joe and Jane, or let's see, what would be the Japanese name equivalent of that, you know. Yumiko and Hiroyuki in Japan, and let's see who you want to say in China. I'm trying to think about, you know, Chang, Mr. Chang or Mrs. Chan or Mrs. Lim or Mrs. Leong. You know, for the average Joes and Janes in each country, this is the kind of article that is the start of getting people used to the fact that cryptocurrencies are going to be a very important part of our future. It's secure as a place. Secure as a place. Securing means you get something and you've got it, you've made it, right? It becomes the 29th largest currency across the planet. Hey, wait a minute. We know that Bitcoin's market cap is down severely from what it was. And yet they're still telling us it's the 29th largest currency across the planet. Don't you think when Bitcoin was up around 20,000, it must have been higher than the 29th largest currency? But for whatever reason, we're being told now, when Bitcoin is really down. And I'll bet when Bitcoin goes back up to its previous high, there'll be other articles that will say, oh, Bitcoin is now the 22nd largest currency across the planet. And people will start taking it seriously. Oh, it's in the newspaper. It's being talked about in the media. Oh boy, I thought this was a scam coin. You know, up until a few months ago, the prostitutes and the mass media, they were telling us how Bitcoin was a scam and we should stay away from it. Oh man, now they're telling us that this is legitimate. It's secured a place in the global currency market. So this is one of those aha news stories. Just like I told you in a previous video about Backed, the Backed exchange was, boom, the starting gun going off for a race, letting the elites know that, yep, this thing has started. Keep your eyes open. You all got the memo, you got the email. When the cryptocurrencies on our list hit the prices that we've written down for you, buy. Okay? This is another one of those moments. Okay, now they're letting the average person sort of in on the story, but not in the same way, right? They're not giving us a memo or an email saying when it gets to this price, buy as much as you can. No, they're just getting us ready for it. They're acclimating us to this. And like I said, you watch in the future, there'll be more articles like this, especially when the price of Bitcoin goes back up. Okay, so that's very interesting, huh? And let's see. What's next on my list here? Okay, let's talk about the price of cryptos in the market. The market's down a little bit. I think it's going to go down even further. And, you know, I'm just patiently waiting for it. I listened to, let's see, what did I listen to recently? I can't remember now. Anyway, yeah, there are some people who are also in the same frame of mind or have the same opinion as I do that the market is going to go down in the next few days. So that's kind of nice to get confirmation. I'm going to talk about some prices now. You know, the last video I did on the 26th, I compared prices of cryptos, I think with the 23rd, was it? Let me just go back and I don't want to give you the wrong dates. Oh, the 23rd, I believe. Okay, yeah, the 23rd to the 26th, I think I compared some stuff. So I told you the prices on the 23rd and then what they were on the 26th when I made my video, and I said, hey, you know, if you would have traded some of these, you would have come out all right. I think I mentioned a trade that I told my friend to do with Tezos. He's very, very happy about that. And you know, some people have a negative view about trading. I recently heard a friend of mine, Aura, Wright. Aura's got a Patreon channel. She's the astrology chick. She has videos on YouTube. Like I said, she has her Patreon channel. I highly recommend checking her stuff out. She's very accurate, very easygoing. And she said she has a nice way to describe it. She calls it strategic investing. I believe that's what she said. If I'm wrong, sorry, Aura. But I remember strategic was in there. Strategic investing. She doesn't call it trading, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that. That's a great way to say it. I know some people just, buy and they hodl, and that's fine. If that's your mentality, if you aren't so confident in your abilities, then hodling is the best thing to do. But if you'd like to improve your situation, and it doesn't take a lot of intelligence or energy to improve your situation, you just need to be looking at a few things and focusing on some things, and you could easily improve your situation. So I do not consider myself a trader. I like Aura's description of it. A strategic investor. That's what I am, a strategic investor. So I'm not the guy who's jumping around every day buying and selling at lows and highs. No, I'm just looking for the big moves, a move that's big enough to make it worthwhile. So if you had listened to my previous video, I gave you some scenarios where you could have made some money. And I also mentioned that, I'm kind of giving hints to people. A lot of people want solid information. What could I do? What could I be watching? How could I get some more coins in my bag? I'm giving you that advice. I'm not charging you for it, right? So I just want to see people improve their situation. And if nothing ever comes of it, I'm okay with that too. If you just consider what I'm saying as entertainment, I'm cool with that. So let me just go over some prices here. On the 26th, my last video, Tezos was at $1. Today it's at 86 cents. And this is, I checked maybe an hour ago. And I've got 3 different apps that I use for checking. So if it's not the same price you had on CoinMarketCap or the app you use, that might be just a little bit different, right? Okay, Tezos was $1 on the 26th. Today it's 86 cents. That's a drop of 16%. So if you had even sold some of your Tezos back on the 26th and then bought back today, you would have gained 16%. That's pretty good in 4 days. Neo was at $8.98 on the 26th. Today it's $7.09, and I expect Neo to go a little lower. So that's a 26% decrease. If you had sold some Neo 4 days ago and bought back today, 26% you would have gained. That's pretty sweet. Let's see, OMG was at $1.04 on the 26th. Today it's 79 cents. That's a 32% decrease. That's pretty sweet if you had taken advantage of it. This next one here, EOS, man. EOS was $3.98 on the 26th. Today it's $2.78. Wow, that's a 43% drop. You could have made out like a bandit on that one. Bitcoin was pretty stuck. It was in a sideways move on the 26th. It was around 10,200. When I checked today, it was $8,023. That's a decrease of 27,000. Now I understand, if you were to sell your Bitcoin and make you pretty nervous, what if the price goes up? But, myself and others have been talking about the market going down. Bitcoin Cash, yay. Bitcoin Cash was at $303 on the 26th. Today it's at $217. That's a 39.6% decrease, almost a 40% decrease. So, person could have done pretty well if you had just taken a couple of your coins. Now, I know there are people out there saying, man, don't do anything with your Bitcoin Cash. You can trade whatever else you want. Don't touch those. However, everybody can, do what you want. So, for example, if you had EOS and you sold 100 of your EOS 4 days ago on the 26th for $3.98, and then you bought back today at $2.79, you would have turned your 100 EOS into 143 EOS. That would have been pretty awesome, right? Okay. So I gotta go back here. Okay, so if you had, for example, EOS, if you had taken just 100 of your EOS back on the 26th, my last video, and if you had sold 100 of your EOS when it was $3.98, and then you bought them back today, at 278, you would have turned your 100 EOS into 143 EOS. That's pretty sweet, huh? Okay, now what if you had really big cojones, right? What if you had balls of steel and you said, man, I'm going to take 100 Bitcoin Cash and I'm going to sell them because some crazy guy on YouTube's making videos talking about it. Okay, if you had 100 Bitcoin Cash, that'd be pretty sweet having 100 of those. You sold them at 303. And then you bought them back today at 217, you would have turned your original 100 Bitcoin Cash into 139.6 Bitcoin Cash. Wow, that's pretty sweet too, huh? So, you know, I'm not giving trading advice. I'm just talking about strategies here, right? I'm just giving people ideas on how they could better their situation. I understand it's not for everybody, you know. You need to have a bit of confidence in yourself, and you need to spend some time looking at things. That's why, like on my phone just now, I don't know if you could see it when I started this video, that I had a NEO update, boom, a price update come on my phone because I'm watching NEO like a hawk, and I just have a few ideas about how some of the prices of these cryptocurrencies are moving over a 24-hour period, and I'm learning some interesting things. So if I get anything earth-shattering, I will pass it on to all of you. Okay, went through a lot of material today. Let's see, I hope you enjoyed that little bit about my son at his school with the eel. That was quite exciting, quite fun for us. Let's see, talked about Libra today, talked about NEO, Cardano, talked about Bitcoin, you know, the sign that Bitcoin is being rolled out for everybody. And then talked a little bit about the price of cryptocurrencies. Still looking for the market to go even lower. It's really funny because in the past, when the market would go lower, I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I wasn't the happiest guy in the world, maybe, you know. I've never been a big sports fan, but I know people who are sports fans, and whenever their team loses, they're like kind of down for a few days. So I probably could relate to a sports fan in the sense that when the crypto market used to go down, I used to be kind of, oh boy, when's it going back up? Now I'm very excited about it because I now realize that, oh, I have two opportunities to improve my situation. When the prices go up, man, that's a great time to sell. And then once I've sold, now I'm excited waiting for the market to go down. So my outlook on the whole market and the whole crypto space has completely changed since I've been able to adjust my thinking and my orientation towards the pricing of cryptos. I look at it as a game now, and that makes it really, really fun. Okay. Let's see. As I said in the beginning, I really appreciate all the subscribers. I love reading people's comments, and I hope I'm making worthwhile videos. If anyone has an idea of something you'd like to see, let me know. And like I said, the video on that other reality, I'm still working on that. It's taking a little longer than I thought. I apologize for that. But, you know, I'm kind of a perfectionist in a way. I want things a certain way. And some of you may laugh at that, the fact that I'm a perfectionist, because in my first videos, I was just sitting there, in my tank top, sweating my butt off. You know, it was really hot here in Japan. I was sweating like crazy in my tank top or t-shirt doing videos. And now I'm trying to make it a little cleaner. Not cleaner as in I was dirty before, but that's pretty funny. You know, cleaner as just in a cleaner look, giving you more accurate information as far as cryptos goes, because in the beginning I was talking about all woo-woo topics, and those are still very interesting for me, and I plan to do more in the future. And as I always say, if you like the video, you know, hit the like button. And if you subscribe, now there's a bell notification or something you also have to click, and that makes sure you get the notifications in your inbox. So do all of that stuff if you don't mind. And let's see, so it's Monday, September 30th for me. And what was I going to say? Oh, tomorrow, if anyone is listening here in Japan, tomorrow the government raises the sales tax from 8% to 10%. That's kind of a big thing, huh? Lots of people are nervous about that. They're unhappy about it. It is what it is, huh? The politicians have no idea how to fix anything. They just raise taxes. You know? So Anyway, wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a great day or a great evening. Hope this information was interesting for you. You guys take care. This is Big Blair signing off.